Hollywood is on strike, yet somehow they are still managing to offend. It's impressive considering they're not working at it at all. In fact, well, they're not working at all. Yet still, over in Japan, the idea of Barbenheimer is infuriating the citizens. The Japanese do not care for this one bit, and it is damaging Barbie's performance there. And over here, domestic side, well, there's a crazy mom who's writing for the Huffington Post, and perhaps she is encouraging other women to take their sons to check out Barbie in an effort to prevent their young men from becoming kin. We've got tons of that, plus cues from you. Strap in, folks. This is a fun one. All right, and welcome back to another great, enjoyable video here on the WDW Pro channel. You say pro, isn't that just a little bit, I don't know, braggadocious? Maybe you think that you can pull this off? Well, folks, stick around for the entire video and let us know if you think it's fun. In fact, if you do think it's fun, if you do think it's great, click that like button, share, subscribe, and click it, stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. On this channel, as you all know, we cover entertainment, we explain it, and we keep you ahead of the culture curve. It is our daily task. And folks, we only bring on the best and the brightest to this channel to help us do so. Yes, I know we have some funny advertising, and well, every once in a while we'll do a comical kind of video, but we have the very highest IQ guests with the most deeply profound thoughts anywhere out there on the web. Absolutely the best. And so we have brought someone on to help us navigate through Barbenheimer, who, well, is lighting the internet on fire, and perhaps even literally. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest for today's video, a literal troll, Wilton the Troll. Welcome back, sir.
It's a bird, it's a Pablo, it's a Jonas, it's me. So thank you, Pro, for having me.
Well, it's a joy, as always, to have you on, of course. Well, at least it's a joy anyway. But Wilton, so happy to have you on. We had a funny video the other day where one of our guests said that, you know, he didn't know what to make of this channel because 99% of the time it's very intellectual. You know, we're breaking these huge stories about Disney and DEI, or we're revealing what's happening exclusively about the Harry Potter franchise and recasting, etc. And then there's that 1% of the time where he said, you got a puppet or a Muppet or something on the video, and I don't know what to make of this channel anymore. And I said, you know what? We're here to have some fun. So, Wilton, we're going to be covering some topics today that are definitely in the fun zone, and hopefully you can help us navigate them well. We are starting today, Wilton, with quite the story. Are you ready for this?
I think so.
Barbenheimer highlights U.S. ignorance of nuclear reality. And folks, we are going to the actual source here. We're not reading from some sort of American newspaper telling us what the Japanese think. No, we're going to the Japan Times. We really care about being authentic here. Wow. It says, lack of images depicting the real-life horrors of the atomic bombs left a generation in the dark. This by Don Carlton. Not a very Japanese-sounding name, but we'll go with it. No. As we approach the 79th anniversary of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, America is gripped in a confusing and insensitive cultural moment. The release of very different movies, Barbie and Oppenheimer, on the same day has spawned the Barbenheimer craze, where the two come together in a strange yet symbiotic fashion. Box office records have been broken across America, and it has become a trend among moviegoers to express an ironic sense of humor by seeing both films on the same day. In addition, countless internet jokes and memes, some showing Barbie and Oppenheimer juxtaposed against the backdrop of atomic explosions, have gone viral. However, the resulting satire has led to deep offense and anger among many Japanese. Things culminated earlier this week when Warner Brothers issued an apology after their official U.S. social media account reacted positively to a Barbenheimer meme. These memes aren't harmless fun because atomic bombs are never harmless. The two bombs dropped by the American armed forces on Hiroshima and Nagasaki created immense and intense human suffering. By the way, folks, so did Pearl Harbor. We're not trying to get into an issue here of who was right and who was wrong. War is war, and it's no fun. The Barbenheimer trend thus glosses over the tragedy at the core of Oppenheimer and points to the fact that few Americans have ever fully grappled with the enormous devastation of the atomic bombings. Actually, I think that most Americans probably have grappled with the enormous devastation of the entire World War II plus World War I. It was a grisly century, that last century, and we could go into detail about why that was, but perhaps that's another topic for another day. In large part, it says that's right. That's because few Americans have ever seen that reality. Now, Wilton the Troll, I don't want to go into a situation here where we are debating World War II and the tactics used by either side. You know, war is war. And in this case, it was largely dealing with
good for? Absolutely nothing.
Sorry. You know, I thought you were a troll, not a demonetizer. But thank you for that, Wilton. But, you know, we could go into detail about all of this and what it means. But I think it's just suffice to say that this is very clumsy marketing, because from the entertainment side of things, not the political, not the historical, but from the entertainment side of things, it just seems like this was a unnecessary error, shall we say. Wilton, you are not, though, the type of troll who provides unnecessary errors. You invent them with great gusto. You are, could you walk us through, perhaps, exactly why this is offensive to the Japanese? And can you tell us some other strategies that perhaps Warner Brothers could have used if they were not trying to troll Japan?
What could they have done? Well, I think that if Warner Brothers wanted to do something different, I don't know. I mean, they could. A lot of the jokes I want to make, I think you get in trouble for.
You know what, Wilton? Go for it, and we'll just bleep you nonstop.
Okay, so we could go with we could put on the of any of the Japanese, and then the two of different individuals that are talking to them. I think that we could pull some fingernails and those kind of things. You know, like what's those movies with John Wayne? I remember there being a good couple scenes in that we could pull out and remind people of. And you know, like they could have a lot of. I mean, it's not like they dropped an actual back in the day, right? And it's not like they're always dropping with all their own how do you say it? And destroying what we currently have and, well, don't really love anymore. But, you know, they're doing that kind of thing. So I think pretty fair.
You know, Wilton, it seems to me that for the past, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 years, the way this has worked is Japan says, hey, you know, that whole World War II thing, we did some things we're not proud of. America says, hey, you know, that whole World War II thing, you know, we did some stuff that maybe we, you know, look back on a little less fondly. And both sides are kind of like, yeah, this was not a great time. America won. Japan, you kind of started it. But yeah, let's be friends. And so we kind of put away this the horribleness of some of this, right? So we don't bring up Pearl Harbor to the Japanese, and we don't, you know, the Japanese don't talk very much about the nuclear bombings because, well, it's just bad manners, right, on both sides. Because war is the kind of thing that makes a huge, huge mess, and nobody comes out looking good. The victor gets to, you know, run with the history of it. But in terms of America and Japan, well, we're pretty good allies now, right? And I don't know about you trolls over there. I don't know where you're at, Wilton. Are you Guatemalan by any chance? Anyway, I don't know if Guatemala has great relations with Japan, but America seems to. And Barbenheimer is stressing. It is stressing and creating conflict where it doesn't need to. This is like, can we come up with dolphin and whale? Wilton, have you ever seen the South Park episode where there's dolphin and whale and they're the real ones who drop the bomb?
Dolphin and whale! I think that the moment I started thinking dolphin and whale, I started thinking of tuna cans. So
that's also what Japan thinks. Anyway.
Exactly.
Well, Wilton, we are also being trolled with another story. And this one, I don't think they're attempting to troll, but by gosh, they're doing a good job of it. Here's what we've got. This out of the Huffington Post by Wendy Bessel-Hahn. And I feel sorry for her son. Here we go. I took my 15-year-old son to see Barbie because I'm worried he could become Ken. I worry that Ken is a euphemism for men. As his 51-year-old mother, I'm painfully aware that my son is merely 6 years away from having more rights in America than I do. Folks, if you're confused by that statement, well, you're probably still going to be confused in just a few moments, but let's go through it. Barbie is the movie I needed my 15-year-old son to see this summer. The kid has his learner's permit for driving, medaled in a couple of swim events at a regional meet, recently went on his first date, and soon will be embarking on his sophomore year in high school. He's also being prominently featured in an article on Huffington Post that is demasculating him. I'm sure things are going well in his high school. He's on his way to becoming Ken on Venice Beach, as played by Ryan Gosling. As his 51-year-old mother, I'm painfully aware that my son is merely 6 years away from having more rights in America than I do. We'll explain in a moment, folks. He will soon obtain a driver's license and later get... How so, Wilton? What do you got there?
Well, I mean, he's a guy, so he'll be able to do what he wants, right?
I see.
Yeah.
He will soon obtain a driver's license and later get a voter's registration. Due to the generosity of his grandparents and our ability to save money, he has a modest college fund. Once he reaches the age when he can legally consume alcohol and has a college degree, he might arrive on a relatively level playing field with Gosling. He will have bodily autonomy, a privilege I lost in June 2022 when 6 Supreme Court justices voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. So that's what it is. It's all about Roe v. Wade. And so here's the thing, folks. You know, in America, where you live may have different values, and where you live have different policies in regards to this situation with Roe v. Wade. And so we're not a channel where we discuss that sort of thing. We're not going there. But I think that it is suffice to say that perhaps these claims that women are just enjoying Barbie, maybe some women are. But for other women, this is a mantra movie, and they're taking their sons to go see Barbie to make some sort of political statement and teach their young men, their young Kens, about the oppression that women suffer. So I don't know that I believe any longer that this is just a film about females and having fun. I think there are some women who are taking this in a different direction. Again, where you live in the United States, though different states have different policies. Oregon just made it a right for you to go pump your gas at the gas station. You don't have to have an attendant any longer. They joined the other 48 states that allow that. And in some states, women can do certain things after, shall we say, relations. And in other states, they can't. We'll just leave it there. But Barbie apparently is a movie that's all about that, Wilton. I thought it was a little dolly movie, but perhaps it's more. Wilton, what do you make of this?
Oh, I think that antagonizing your fan base and offering to, I don't know, get rid of them before they're, like, alive. It's pretty on par with most companies these days. Destroying your future customers.
Good Lord.
Well, I mean,
Wilton, I'm glad. I am so glad that for this very deep issue here that could make people very angry, I am glad that I have a troll puppet on to give us the deep thoughts about this one.
I will provide whatever you need. I can almost kind of do that, literally.
Perhaps I should have one of those situations where the screen is split, and on one side we have a theologian, or perhaps someone who could lead us through the ethics of this, and on the other side we could have someone who takes the pro, not the WDW pro, but the pro position of we should allow women to do whatever they wish, with a pregnancy, and they could duke it out, and we could have this really serious conversation about Barbie and feminism and what it's all about. And instead, well, we went to you, Wilton. How does that feel to be the one person that was qualified for, well, at least willing to come on the channel?
Well, I mean, I don't technically have a brain, so these things all kind of work out in the end. It's an honor to be here and to stir the pot when I can. So when you say having one guy on one side and another guy on the other, I just picture myself then like stirring the pot and egging them on the entire time. It just sounds like so much fun.
I can see how you. I can see how you earn the credentials of a troll. Actually, yes.
Well, I mean, stirring a pot it's like being a chef, if you will. Everyone loves a good chef, a good cook in the kitchen.
Well, speaking of stirring the pot, let's stir the pot with some members' cues from you. Beautiful. And let's remind everyone out there what this is. We allow our members. It is a perk, and we enjoy this. It's become a fan favorite. We have our members send in their questions each week, and then we do a dedicated response video. This is one of those. And so we're excited to get those questions and get those answers out there. Wilton, are you ready? And will you be giving your most honest, trollish response to each one?
I will be sincere as much as I can.
I don't believe you. All right, Man of WDW says, I can't think of a good question this week, so I'll just give props to the best channel on YouTube. Good job, Pro and panel, on being the truth to our culture news. Wilton, do you have anything pithy to say?
Thank you for your support, and subscribe to Floral from Under a Rock.
the other best channel on YouTube.
That's anyway.
Space Dave 2000 says, do you believe intellectual properties should have multiple shows and movies, or is it better to do one and done shows? Many criticize that the more sequels, the more diluted a franchise gets. However, I believe if you are creative enough, there are infinite possibilities for great stories for most, if not all, intellectual properties. Thoughts? Wilton, what do you think? Should we be doing all kinds of sequels and going this MCU route where there's multiple movies and multiple shows all in the same year?
I think that genuine thoughts here. Okay, so I'm going to put my best foot forward.
I'm concerned and skeptical, but go ahead.
I think that if you do not know how to tell a unique story, you should definitely stick it with sequels and just repeat the same thing over and over again. You know, like a good Marvel movie, right? You know what to expect. You know not to show up. And you just have a good time all together. Or you could be like, I don't know, the folks that are working over on Illumination and doing Mario. And like, if you're smart and you're creative, you can do a one and done. And you don't need to really return to that mainstay. I mean, you also have like your James Bonds, which are those really sequels or are they independent things? So, I mean, some of them are sequels, especially if you go to the newer stuff, which again, kind of like Marvel, everyone stopped liking. So it's just work with what you got. And so if you can't work with what you got, quit.
Yes. Well, my answer, Space Dave, is that it all depends on the creative acumen behind the intellectual property. You can do many, many different movies and shows within a single IP if they are differentiated and if they are enjoyable and if they are cleverly crafted. But when you step away from that and when it becomes monotonous or mundane, then you have a serious problem. And that seems to be the issue with Marvel, is that it became monotonous and mundane. That's what's going on with Secret Invasion, where people kind of yawn as they are given revelations that, well, they don't do much at all. Red Tigress says, with the report from Bounding into Comics that IMAX has refused premium screens to the Marvels in favor of Dune Part 2, I have two questions. Red Tigress, you cheat again. One, how much of impact, seeing that the Marvels are heavy CGI, will the loss of the premium screens have for its chance for minimal success? In this case, rather significant, Red Tigress, because when you take it off of those premium screens, you lose the people who wish to see whatever it is on a premium screen. In other words, there are people out there who they want to see something on premium and they won't settle for less. This could be actually a major hit to the Marvels. And two,
I think it'll actually be a major a win for the Marvels. Because have you seen all their CGI? Like, I think it's in the same way with keeping everything dark. I think that Disney's gonna be like, this actually helps us.
Wilton, you're supposed to be trolling. I think you're actually right here. They need to play this thing on, like a quarter of your cell phone, and it'll look beautiful.
See? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, sometimes the corporations, they know how to do a better job than me.
Wilton, you perhaps should go into a branding deal here. You could sell Wilton the Troll combined with Marvel's kaleidoscopes, where you stare through a tiny plastic kaleidoscope, and on the other end of it, then, of course, the CGI will be practically invisible. No one will know how bad it looks.
And we can call it Doctor Strange 3.
There you go. And what does this predict for Disney current and long term for the health of the company, I suppose? Well, Red Tigress, I think the Marvels is already known to be a loss. I don't think anyone thinks it's going to do very well. Perhaps we will eat crow at some point for having said this, but I'm not sure that Disney thinks the Marvels is their barometer. I think the real barometer probably comes next year as we get into Deadpool 3 and perhaps attempts by Disney to survive the strike. Given what we've just seen earlier, yesterday we had some news coming out where there are new demands for the strike. That thing's not ending, and I think that's going to have a dramatic impact on companies.
It's going to be great. They need to fight more. I think they need to be more public about those fights.
Oh, please, please. Mm-hmm. And Mike at 2637 says, given the recent revelations as to Disney's 1984-style internal DEI ESG behavior, Will it actually have impact enough to get reasonable people to ask a lot more questions about the viability of certain investments made on behalf of them by financial organizations regarding where their funds are being placed? And will the return of these two former ... Well, I think I get the gist of this question. And I would simply say that we're not at the end yet of revealing what's been going on at Disney. As we continue to do this, and as other organizations become aware of what we're reporting and the documentation that we have, I think that we will see some impact, but I can't tell you to what degree. I would heavily suspect at this point, based on some polling that was sent out internally by Disney, that they're aware that we're covering this now. Wilton, are you guys implementing DEI and ESG over there at Floral from Under a Rock?
Well, I mean, everyone says I should DIE, but I mean that's different. So, yeah.
It's dark humor, Wilton. That's really, really dark.
Well, I mean, either you love me or you hate me. It's either one or the other.
You're trolling your own life at this point.
Yeah.
Stuttering Guitarist says, the reacquisitions of two former employees now on the advertising side, the market showed an immediate bump talking about Staggs and Mayer. Is this hiring fully of Iger's creation, or was there a request by the board to bring on a once possible successor?
No, it wasn't the board. Come on, man. Have you not been paying attention to who these people are and what they vote for? Gosh. No.
Okay, that's actually really funny. Well played, Wilton. Yes, but you're right, Wilton. I don't think it is the board, although the board probably had some sort of approval of it. But I do think this is an Iger initiative. I think this is Iger making the moves to try to quell the disdain that some investors are having with him. Unfortunately, Stuttering Guitarist, that bump disappeared very quickly, and so that makes this upcoming earnings report even more interesting.
All right, Liam Lionheart. Do you know? What did it close on Friday?
Well, it depends on when somebody's watching this video, Wilton. I mean, they may be watching it and it's who knows what number. So it can change depending on what time of day they're watching you.
It's the weekend.
So, baby, we're going to have some fun. All right, moving on.
Okay, fine.
Liam Lionheart says, do you think that Disney may get worse next year? Well, it could. And it depends on how you define the sort of, the parameters, though, of what that means or the domain that it's in. For example, the cruise lines are probably going to get better. The parks, who knows? The box office, well, that's dependent on the strike. And Disney Plus, well, Disney Plus is already not doing well. So perhaps it could rebound and do better. But I'm indecisive on how to answer this one simply because there is a lot of play left. There's a lot of real estate left in this year for Disney to make the change that they need. I think we've got some more questions that are in this vein, so let's stick with it and find out what we've got. Coach O'Dragon says, should Disney continue to be in the decline of their bad decisions because of, dang it, Bob, and the lack of storytelling in Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars IPs? Will it be to the point where many who used to be fans of those have moved on to other IPs like Dragon Prince, Nintendo, Universal, or supporting independent creators like Vivzy Pop, Lackadaisy, Eric July, and Drunk 3PO books? Even let's say there's a change in Disney one day, would anyone want to think, come back, or even trust Disney again? Given the damaged brand it's become, would it be too late by the time this change comes? Well, I believe in redemption. I know that certain trolls on this panel right now do not, but I believe in redemption, and so Disney eventually will probably change leadership and find their footing once more. It may take a while, but in the meantime, and then continuing on, I do recommend that you support people like Eric July, Drunk 3PO, and more. I think that they're putting out fantastic content, and there was this interesting comment made the other day on the channel by Jeff over from World Class BSers. He had the comment that when Disney is weak like in the 80s, it seems like even more creative stuff comes out of the other studios to fill the gap. And I think now that I've reflected on that for a while, that's probably true. And maybe we'll see some of that same fantastic stuff coming out of the Ripiverse or Drunk 3PO's new book. So we'll see. Wilton, how shall you troll that question today?
Scroll back up for a sec.
Oh, no.
Well, you say decline of their bad decisions. And, are they bad or are they good? It really depends on your point of view. So, it's if you really want to see other creators rise up, you want to see these things get destroyed. And if you love and cherish your own things like a selfish person, then you'll want to see those Disney things come back so that guys like Eric go broke.
Why am I not surprised that the troll guest is a relativist? Why am I not surprised? Rod Thunderheart says Marvel can't just use Barbie's idea of hiding the truth and deliberately misleading the audience. What the Marvels is about. What do you think would work for the Marvels, or do you think there's any hope for this movie? Well, Rod, it's pretty much done. I mean, they're doing the CGI. I would have given them some different ideas from the get-go. And well, I would have told them perhaps to reconceptualize the entire thing. But they are where they are, and I think they're going to go for that same attempt. The same thing that worked for Barbie. They seem excited about it. Wilton, do you think the Marvels can win? Is this your kind of movie? Is it trolling the entire world?
Oh, I think that if you get more Brie Larson commercials with her smiling, the things are going to get like 300 million, which is like 50 million more than it would normally get.
Wilton, is there any truth to this rumor that's going on all over the internet that you're in a relationship with Brie Larson?
She says that I shouldn't really say anything. Oh, maybe.
Continuing on, folks, we've got this one out of Vixeris. Since Epic Universe Harry Potter is based on Fantastic Beasts, do you think it will have less appeal or success, or will it not matter because of Mario and How to Train Your Dragon? I think that segment of Harry Potter is definitely the weakest, and so it will not be pulling in the kind of enthusiasm for Epic Universe that other divisions within Harry Potter would. That
Mainly
said,
because the story
I think
sucked.
well, that is true. But I think that Epic Universe will nevertheless be very popular, packed. It will be hard to get in there for the first year and maybe beyond. Yes, Mario is going to drive huge interest, and How to Train Your Dragon as well. We'll have to wait and see what the quality of the rides are, though. They're putting in a lot of brand new rides that we have not seen before, and we'll have to see how that plays out. We've seen a lot of Super Nintendo World, but there's a bunch that is totally brand new.
Just thinking about Fantastic Beasts. Now, I could be wrong, but if with Fantastic Beasts, that became like the first real big push that Dumbledore, well, he swung for the other team. And that's when everyone started actually rejecting that franchise.
Milton, why don't you just admit that Brie Larson, in your very scandalous phone calls you a fantastic beast?
I'm not allowed.
That's right, Wilton. We have your text messages. We'll talk about this later.
Oops.
Yep. All right, and finishing this up, we've got Araxis, hi pro, hi guest reader, a.k.a. Wilton. Now, given all the info we have seen, how likely is it that the USS Disney doesn't hit the iceberg bankruptcy? Well, I continue to hold that the chances of Disney hitting that bankruptcy level of disaster is about 1%. Now, that's up from what I used to say. I used to say there's no way possible. But I need to see some ideological shifts from Iger. He seems entrenched in the things that have really cratered this company. And once he's ready to make that 180, I think this company could rebound. If he's not able to, then surely they'll be able to survive long enough to find someone who can. And perhaps that's what's going on with the return of Tom Staggs and others. We'll see what happens here. Wilton, final thoughts on all of this?
Where there's a will, there's a way. And Disney probably have a guy named Will, and he will find a way.
I thought the phrase was where there's a will, there's a ton of trolling.
Well, there's that too. I will troll you. That's an option.
I think it's not just an option for you, Wilton. I think it's
it's
your
a lifestyle.
forte.
It's a lifestyle.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
You identify as a troll, is that correct?
No.
Well said, troll. All right, Wilton, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there?
Well, as a little thingy of it. What's that?
I'm sorry, you appear to be disappearing when you reach over there.
This is weird.
Have you perhaps sprayed that part of the room with anti-troll spray?
I don't know. I'm just kind of confused. What's this finding
It's not the first
anyway,
time.
sorry.
Wilton.
Okay, so my name on the little thing over there, from under a rock. So if you look up under a rock, you'll actually find the wrong thing. But if you look up floral from under a rock, you'll get the right thing. So you do that, subscribe. We're only like 250 watch hours away from hitting that monetization number, and then we can apply and see what happens, and going from there. So yeah, it's kind of exciting. Anyway, and Pro, I want to say thank you so much for your love and affection. And I mean, I know that you and me and Pablo, we have our snuggle sessions on Saturdays, and today the people don't know that today is Saturday.
I told you not to tell anybody about that and the sandwich that occurs. Now that Bree is here, it's getting a little crowded. I'll say that.
It is. But it makes it a little more Gouda.
Good Lord.
Sorry. Anyway, yep. So thank you so much for all your help and sewing me around. And
Well,
also putting us on
tonight,
thatparkplace.com, which you conveniently can find those words right there.
Wilton, I can't say it's a pleasure to have you on, but it's something to have you on. And, well, I'm sure in the future, somehow, some way, you will work your way back onto the channel. All right, folks, go and subscribe to Floral from Under a Rock. Fantastic content over there. And they have Wilton, besides the fantastic content.
That's
although
true.
he is a fantastic beast to Brie Larson, as all of you know.
And
folks, if you want more videos such as this, where we tackle deep topics like the Huffington Post, moms taking their sons to Barbie so that they'll understand Roe v. Wade, or issues like Japan being highly incensed and offended by Barbenheimer, you know we'll be bringing on another puppet to handle those kinds of topics, because that's what we do. Oh, wait a minute. What do you get your finger out of there?
Back here. Sorry.
That is very expensive technology. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Quick, folks. Whatever you do, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun. Wilton, get your finger out of it. Ah!
I'll do that. Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?